I'm Tori Egherman, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit today about growth hacking and engagement and shrink hacking. So let's just get started. And the first thing I want to do is define growth hacking. Angel investor Sean Ellis coined the term growth hacker. It's, quote, a person whose true north is growth. And I love that definition. It's just really fun to say true north, growth. Feels good in the mouth. And you can think of it as a growth hacker is your best salesperson, your best communicator, your best designer, and your best engineer all in one person. That's a growth hacker. Growth hackers test messages, they test their product, they look for what works. I think many of us are familiar, maybe not with growth hackers consciously, but we've seen their actions online through advertising and social media. They test messages, see what makes us to act. So what is growth hacking? Growth hacking is a group of teenagers in Macedonia who create fake news targeting Trump supporters so that they can make extra money from advertising. Growth hacking is a presidential candidate unleashing just enough hate to get elected. Growth hacking is a group of white supremacists promoting LGBT rights in order to spread hatred of Muslims. It's anti-Semites claiming they are pro-Israel. Growth hacking is a 31% increase in hate crimes in New York City alone. Growth hacking is a family wondering how they are going to protect their children. Growth hacking is one dopamine rush after another, and it rewards extremes. It's like candy, it's delicious. Just stop it. Don't make me say that again, please. Instead, I want you to consider becoming a shrink hacker. Like me, I'm a proud shrink hacker. And what do shrink hackers do? Well, they don't pull pranks on psychiatrists. Shrink hackers actually listen to a small pool of diverse voices. They seek out people who are different from them, and they seek out uncomfortable and challenging discussions. It's not easy to do. There are times when I wish everyone around me agreed with me and just thought I was a genius. And when I really need a little shot of geniushood, I just call my parents. They're still alive, thank God. And they still think I'm a genius, so it's great. So what I recommend, though, is steel yourself and get ready to talk to different kinds of people. You need to listen to minority voices. This is a key element of shrink hacking. Minorities are like canaries. Do you know the saying, canary in a coal mine? Does anybody know that? Okay, if you don't, the miners used to bring canaries down into the coal mine, and they respond to toxic fumes faster than humans, so if they died, the miners still had time to escape. In societies, minorities are on the edges, and they feel oppression and they feel cultural violence before anyone else. They don't like to talk about it, so you have to listen hard and hear what they have to say. And here's where a personal story comes in for me. I am an immigrant. I'm married to an immigrant. I'm the great-granddaughter of immigrants, and I'm the granddaughter of immigrants. So we've been moving around a lot. And I think of when my great-grandparents left Europe a little over 100 years ago now. And they left fleeing pogroms and violence. And they took their young family with them. and they risked the lives of their children, and they brought them to new countries and new places, seeking safety. And I think, what if Europe, what if the world could have heard the warning they were signaling? What if they could have heard it? What if they could have acted differently? What could the 20th century have looked like if we would have listened to the people at the edges of society? And so now alarms are ringing, and it's time to listen. Another thing shrink hackers do is they suspend judgment. This is a very important thing to do. So if you feel yourself confronted with new ideas and uncomfortable situations, try to take a step back, suspend judgment, withhold agreement, shrink, listen, suspend judgment. It's very important. I would warn you against inspiration. And this is a big thing on social media, especially. You get those little pictures with an inspirational quote on it, often by someone you've never heard of, and you think, oh, this is great, right? I think inspiration is totally overrated. And I'm going to give you an example. This is a quote that goes around the internet all the time, and it's attributed to Margaret Mead. The quote is, "Never doubt that a small group of concerned citizens can change the world. Indeed, nothing else ever has." Now, I want you to think about that for a minute. Just close your eyes. Imagine that quote in your head. Now I want you to imagine the small groups that have really changed the world. Okay, let's think, let's put that quote on a group of Nazis, on Hitler and his cabinet. Let's put that quote on the people who dropped the atomic bomb. These are small groups. These are small groups that change the world because destruction is a lot easier than love, and hate does trump love. So this gets to my final point. And I have to say, as an American, this has been a really hard year for me. The discussion from my fellow countrymen has been really appalling. I'm really, as an immigrant and the granddaughter of immigrants and the great-granddaughter of immigrants, I take it really personally. It's really horrible. And perhaps the worst day of my life, which says a lot about how privileged I've been, was the day after the election. And I woke up so angry and so depressed and so filled with rage. And then almost immediately, I was overwhelmed by love. And much of that love was being directed at my parents, and it was coming from all sorts of directions, from old friends, from people I didn't know, from people that I knew loved them. And there was so much love directed at these two people who are not leaders and who have been really unambitious in their lives. And their one ambition was to create a really loving home. And it was always open for me, for my siblings, for our friends, no matter how dark the experiences were that we were going through, their doors were never closed. And it made me think of the Jewish concept, tikkun olam, which is repairing the world. It's the notion that the world is broken and that we spend our lives putting it back together. And so I want to say it's not a small group of concerned citizens that changes the world. It's all of us, every single day, making the reparations. Thank you.